Have you ever felt like everyone else is 10 steps ahead of you in life? They're able to build careers, build relationships, and build stable routines, all while you're trying to figure out who you are and how to get off the merry-go-round of survival. I'm Corey. I'm a trauma-informed mind-body practitioner, and I work with adult children of alcoholics to help them come out of survival mode, release shame, and start living a life on their terms. And today we're talking about why adult children of alcoholics feel behind in life. If you grew up with an alcoholic parent, this feeling is so normal. And in this video, I'm going to talk about exactly how you can move forward from feeling like you're stuck and feeling like you're years behind everyone else. Let's talk about the obvious, but the rarely talked about truth. People who grew up in stability and in safe environments find it much easier to get ahead in life. When your childhood is safe, you don't have to spend years learning to survive. You're free to take risks, to start building your relationship, to start really thinking about what you want to do as a career, and really start planning for your future. You're not carrying around this big emotional baggage from your past. For many of us who grew up in environments with addiction, instability, and chaos, that just wasn't the case for us. You weren't focused on thriving. You were focused on protecting yourself. And it's so obvious when you think about it. But when we're in that situation of feeling like all the people around us and everyone we know and people in work and friends and all these sort of things, when we see them getting ahead, when we see them getting married or having kids or building really successful businesses or doing really well in sport, we automatically start to think back that, well, there must be something wrong with me. Like if they can do it, then, and I can't for whatever reason, then there's something wrong with me. I'm a failure, or I'm lacking in the ability that they have. But that's not the case, because if you think about it like this, all right, and I'm going to give you a stick man analogy. You've got you and you've got your friend, okay? You have grown up in chaos. You've grown up with fear. You've grown up with unpredictability. Unpredictable. You've grown up having to keep the peace. You've grown up having to care for your parent or for your siblings or other family members. But your friend here, they haven't. They are not carrying around all of this extra baggage that we talked about. They are free. They have so much more lightness to their lives. And that's not a judgment. This is not a judgment on people or like a competition of, oh, well, I've suffered and you have it so much easier than me. That's not what it's about. This is about you as the person who has suffered, learning to understand that it's so obvious that you're going to find it more difficult to move forward. You're going to find it more difficult to build a business. You're going to find it more difficult to win the medal in sport. You're going to find it more difficult to have the perfect, if there ever is such thing, relationship, or get that promotion, or whatever that is, or have friends. You are going to find it so much more difficult. Why? Because you're carrying around all of this extra stuff that your friend just does not have to worry about. So when you start going down the rabbit hole of thinking, there's something wrong with me, I'm damaged, I'm broken, I'm stupid, I'm a failure, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not talented enough, I don't have what it takes. That's not the truth. You just have an extra layer of stuff going on that needs to be dealt with first before you can have, let's say, the white space or the free space that your friend has to really put all of that energy into doing and achieving what they want to achieve. Like you might have been the peacekeeper, you might have been the fixer, you might have been the one who always had to be in control, or you might have been someone who had to stay invisible as a child. And as a result of this, as a result of growing up in that unpredictability and in that chaos, your nervous system was wired for survival. Your nervous system has constantly been on alert, whether that's you're stuck in fight or flight or you're stuck in freeze. Your nervous system has probably for the majority of your life been stuck in that state of dysregulation. And because of that, You didn't get a chance to focus on what you wanted or what you wanted to do. You were just really trying to make it through the latest shit show or the latest explosion or the latest drama that was going on at home. You didn't have the space or the energy to think about what you wanted to do. And this unfortunately does have a cost. It does have an impact on our lives. And the truth is, it can delay things. It can delay relationships. It can delay careers. It can delay starting a family. It can delay starting a business. It can delay moving abroad. It can delay whatever it is you want to do. It can even delay you or prevent you from making the right decision or what you feel like is the right decision in your life. Something as what can be deemed as small as making a decision about whatever it is, it can really delay you having the ability to do that, to trust yourself. And if we look at the past 10 years, all right, of between you and maybe your friend who has not grown up in the environment that you may have had to spend the last 10 years healing, doing the deep work, okay? So this is you over here, trying to figure out how can you move forward with the baggage of having an alcoholic parent. And this is your friend who doesn't have to deal with the baggage that comes with having an alcoholic parent, who doesn't have to deal with the trauma, who doesn't have to deal with the impact that that has had on your life. So of course, your 10-year timeline is going to look so different. Their 10-year timeline could be they came out of school and they went straight to university, or they got a job, or they met the love of their life, or they went traveling. And yours could have been that you've had to spend the last 10 years figuring out, who am I? What do I want? How can I let go of this anxiety? How can I let go of the pain, of the fear? So again, your timeline looks different, not because there's something wrong with you, but because you've had to spend this big chunk of time doing things that your peers may not have had to do. Or maybe you've just spent the past 10 years ignoring all the shit and the pain in your life. Maybe you've spent the past 10 years with your head buried in the sand, not wanting to acknowledge what has come from your childhood or what your childhood was like. And that's not judgment. That's very, very normal. It's very normal for adult children of alcoholics to not want to have to face that pain, to not want to have to go down that 10-year path of healing, because it's painful, it's scary, it's unknown, it's uncomfortable. You don't like, if you've never faced your so-called demons, it can be a very daunting and terrifying thing to put yourself through. So maybe you've even just spent the past 10 years coasting through life and kind of just pretending like everything is okay. Like you may have to have spent a decade of your life learning to say no, learning how to set a boundary, learning how to stop being a people pleaser, learning how to stop trying to save your parent, learning how to stop trying to fix them and stop them drinking, learning how to actually feel your feelings instead of running from them, or learning how to stop sabotaging every relationship that you're in. But I want you to know this, okay? You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be on your journey of being the child of an alcoholic. The healing work that you're doing or that you're about to do, okay, that you're about to step into, most people do not go there. You're digging deep. You're getting to know exactly who you are. You are becoming conscious of the unconscious. You are learning how much power you have within and how much power you have to change your life. That work takes so much courage. And yes, look, it takes time. Of course it does. But it also gives you something powerful in return. Your past has shaped you, but it has also given you unique gifts. And I talked about this previously in another video on YouTube about how growing up with an alcoholic parent can actually give you superpowers, gifts and abilities, and the ability to do things that not everyone can do to the level that you can. You have resilience. You know exactly how to adapt and survive. That is not a weakness. That is a massive, massive strength that many people, especially people who have not grown up in hardship, kind of struggle with. Again, no judgment, but people who have grown up in a protected and safe environment might find it a bit more difficult than you to actually be resilient in certain situations. You have amazing emotional intelligence. You can walk into a room and automatically read the signs, the cues, pick up on the vibe in the room. This makes you have a really strong ability to connect with people, but also to be a really empathetic friend, co-worker, partner, child. It gives you that extra strength that other people do not have. I can bet that you have fantastic problem solving skills. You grew up in an environment that probably needed a lot of problems fixed, and you learned how to fix problems on the fly. And maybe the most important one, you have an extra layer of depth that not a lot of people have. The kind of emotional maturity and inner wisdom that cannot be taught in a classroom. It only comes from lived experience and living an experience like the one you have. So while it might feel like others are 10 times ahead of you, they have not walked the path that you have. You are building something stronger, something deeper, and something more aligned to the person who you truly are. And that takes time. So let's talk about a couple of things you can do to really help you move forward, and so you don't get stuck in your past or get stuck in going around in a healing circle. And I firstly want to say, I don't believe that there's like 10 steps to healing. I don't believe that it's like a guide that you can give to everyone, okay? And that's why I'm very cautious about when I'm giving programs or resources or trainings. I'm very conscious about giving like 10 steps to being healed, okay? But people need guidelines, people need a framework, and I find people work best within that, okay? So I am going to give you some steps, but this is not me telling you that this is like a 10 step to healing video, because that's not what it is. But this is just guidelines on how you can move forward. Okay, first step number one, and if you've followed me for a while, I always start with this step. It's self-awareness. And why self-awareness? If you don't know the why, if you don't know what's holding you back, if you don't know how certain things have impacted you, if you don't know what you want out of life, if you don't know what triggers you, how you're emotionally reacting, how certain maybe conversations with your partner send you back to an experience in childhood and make your inner child come out. If you don't know any of this, how do you expect to move forward? Okay. You don't know what you don't know. And that is why self-awareness is such a massive, massive part of healing. It's one of the biggest parts apart from nervous system regulation. In my eyes, it is key. Okay. It's central. So if you want to move forward, if you want to stop being stuck, you need to get self-aware. You need to make the unconscious conscious in your mind. Okay. And how you can do that is multiple different ways. How I've done it in the past: journaling, meditation, taking time to be just still and not distracting myself with anything, and just allowing things to come up. Really asking why, getting curious with myself. If I notice that I explode in an argument with my partner, okay, why did I do that? What did he say? What did he do? What was his energy like that caused that reaction in me? And again, that's not blaming him. That's about understanding my reaction to him and why did I do that? What has triggered that? Okay. So number one, most importantly, get self-aware. You don't have to spend money to get self-aware. This is the most beautiful thing. Okay. You are able to watch videos on YouTube about how to meditate, journal, find a piece of paper, find an empty notebook, whatever that is, just start writing things down. Okay. So step one, self-awareness. So step number two is, again, broken record here, but nervous system regulation. And why? Because when the body is in a state of survival, you can't change the mind. Until the body feels safe, until the body comes out of survival, it's very, very difficult to change the mind, because the brain is doing what it can to protect you. And change feels unsafe. Change is uncomfortable. Change is not natural when you're in that state of, your body is in that state of just trying to survive. So that is why Nervous system healing, nervous system regulation is so important early on in your journey, because when your nervous system becomes regulated and balanced, it's so much more easier to do the mindset work, to start implementing habits and routines, because you're doing it from a state of safety. You're doing it from a state of regulation. And for those of you who are not aware, why would your nervous system be dysregulated? Well, it will be dysregulated because you've grown up in a chaotic environment for so long. Growing up with an alcoholic parent is chaos. It's unpredictable. It's scary, especially if there was maybe emotional or physical abuse, or especially if your parent always drank themselves into a situation where you feared for their health, where you feared for their safety. Did they drink drive? So many different reasons of why you might be dysregulated. But it is the number one thing I see come up in all my clients. Anyone I talk to, anyone I work with, myself included, my nervous system was the number one thing that was holding me back from making change. So how can you regulate your nervous system? There's so many ways, okay? But let's keep it simple. Get out in nature and go for a nice slow walk. Get out in fresh air. Maybe just don't put on a podcast or don't put on music. Just spend time walking in nature. Breath work. Certain very simple breath work techniques that you can implement into your day-to-day. So whether it's the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system, so your rest and digest state, it will activate that and actually bring you back to a calmer state. You can automatically feel yourself coming back calm when you do that breathing technique. So 4-7-8 breathing technique, or just sitting still and taking some slow inhale and exhales. And lastly, the favorite of mine, and this is not the last technique you can do, but one of my favorite ones is mindful movement. Putting on some music, finding a quiet space, closing your eyes, and just moving your body slowly, keeping your eyes closed, connecting within, slow inhale, slow exhale. That really allows the body to come back to a state of safety, and safety is what you need to regulate your nervous system. Step 3 is inner child. So many children of alcoholics tell me, they're like, I'm a 40-year-old man. I feel like I'm acting like a 5-year-old child. I feel like I'm being controlled by a child. I feel like there's certain situations in my life that I show up and I act like a child, and I am a grown-up and I just do not understand why. That is because your inner child is fighting to get acknowledged. Your inner child is fighting to be heard and to be seen, because most likely they weren't in childhood. And they will continue to show up in your life in many different ways throughout adulthood unless you acknowledge them, unless you see them, unless you hear them. And there's so many ways that you can do that, okay? So many ways. But it's really important for you to have that awareness that your inner child will show up in adulthood. You will notice that you do things that are pretty childish. You'll notice that you act out in a way that seems very childish. And that you can tell in those moments, that is your inner child acting out. So it's so important for step number 3 to acknowledge your inner child, because without doing that, it's very hard to fully move forward with your healing. Step number 4 is find stillness. And stillness is something I really struggled with through my healing journey, because I was someone who was just so used to being go, ignored everything that was trying to come up in regards to feelings or emotions, and ignored it by just throwing myself into work, being super busy, meeting friends, doing 50 million things at one time, going out drinking, partying, 10 holidays a year. Like, I was always doing something, always. But that doesn't allow you to be still. And what happens is, when you don't be still, when you don't find time to find stillness, you're not allowing what needs to come up. And it's only when you do find stillness that your real emotions do start to show. And this is uncomfortable for people. And this is probably not an enjoyable experience if you've suppressed and ignored your emotions for a very long time. And that is why people distract themselves with multiple different things, because feeling your emotions is uncomfortable, is scary, is a very confusing and challenging time if you're someone who has pushed them away for your whole life. But this is where you actually meet the real you. The real you under the pain, under the fear, under the rage, under the envy, under all of that bullshit that comes with having an alcoholic parent. And only then, when you start to feel your emotions, when you start to acknowledge them, when you start allowing them to be, will they stop controlling your life. And it's a very counterintuitive process, because you feel like, you think in your mind, if I feel my emotions, they're going to control my life, or they're going to take over, or I'm going to be angry forever, or I'm going to get sucked into the pain and the fear and all of these scary things. They actually get less intense. That actually I don't even think this is a word, I'm going to say de-intensifies. They get less and less intense, okay? And even though that doesn't seem like how it should be, that is what actually happens. So finding stillness, allowing your emotions to come up, allowing the real you to come up, the one that's hidden behind all of those scary emotions, is a massive important part in being able to move forward. And 5 is allow yourself to dream. And what I mean by that is, many children of alcoholics spent their whole life in survival, spent their whole lives looking after other people, thinking about other people, worrying about other people. They never gave themselves the chance to really sit and dream about what life could be like without the pain of having an alcoholic parent, because maybe that doesn't seem like a reality to you. But let me tell you, it is so much a reality for you. Like, you don't understand how close that is to being your reality. So start small. What brings you joy? What would you do if you could map out your perfect day? Okay, no limitations. What would that look like? This is an exercise I did personally years ago. I mapped out my perfect day, exactly how I wanted it to be, when I wanted to wake up, how I wanted to feel, what I wanted the day to look like, what I wanted to do in different time brackets, all of that. You would not believe that I am actually able to live my perfect day now. But back then it was just this, invisible thing that I felt made up in my head. But now it's my reality. Why? Because I got clear on where I wanted to go and got really clear on the steps that I had to take in between. So what would your life look like if shame wasn't showing up for you? What would your life look like if guilt wasn't showing up? What would your life look like if fear wasn't showing up for you? You are actually allowed to want more in your life. You're allowed to grow, and you're allowed to create a life that feels good for you. So before I wrap up, I just want to acknowledge that I personally understand how difficult it is as the child of an alcoholic to see so many other people getting ahead in life and wondering why you can't. Like, I spent my whole 20s chasing a life that I thought I wanted, chasing the life of wanting to be a millionaire, wanting to live a certain way because I thought that's what brought me happiness. And I wasted that decade chasing something that I don't want now. So I spent 10 years going in the complete wrong direction because I was driven by pain. I was driven by fear. I was driven by a desperation to feel happiness because I thought having money would bring happiness. And when I reflect on that, of course, there's times where I'm like, I've wasted so much time. Like, I'm 33 now and I'm literally just getting started. And it's very easy to get caught in that mindset. It's very easy to get caught in that cycle of, oh, what if I should have done that? I should have done this. But it's learning. You don't know what you don't know. And it's always better to figure it out now, wherever you are, than to never figure it out. So acknowledge that, yes, you have grown up in chaos, in unpredictability. It's been really hard having an alcoholic parent. And that has caused you to have this baggage that many people will not have. That has caused you to have a delay in all the things that you want in life. That's just how it is. But it doesn't have to be like that forever. Okay? That does not have to be your future. That might have been your past, but now your future can look so, so different. You have had to fight through storms that many other people will never, ever experience. But you're still here, and you are becoming the person that you deserve to be. Your story is not late, it's just layered. Layered with different experiences and different things than the people around you. If this resonated with you, I would love you to leave a comment and let me know, where are you on your healing journey? Are you just coming to the realization now? Are you just starting out? Are you halfway through? Have you gone through your healing journey and now it's just kind of like maintenance, as I like to call it? I would love to hear from you in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when more videos like this are released.